Reddit. What is the most painful thing you have ever experienced? Story 1. Novocaine doesn't work on me. For submarine service, you have to have all of your wisdom teeth removed. The Navy does not use anything other than Novocaine. They only pull two at a time, though. I went back the second time. Ugh. Story 2. I needed a root canal and they couldn't get it to numb. My gums were a pincushion of injection spots from multiple medications. They ended up drilling in until they had a hole and shot the painkiller in directly. That finally worked. For the recovery, the root canal didn't hurt at all. The dozen or so injection points were hurting for days. Story 3. I cut my thumb pretty bad years ago while using a knife in my kitchen. And looking at the salt shaker on the counter, I got the idea to, literally, pour salt on a wound. It was like an electric shot was sent through my nervous system. A short but very intense feeling of pain. Use salt water or saline instead. Story 4. I have a friend who got a lung biopsy without numbing and pain meds. She was 14. She said she wanted to feel it like the biopsy on her knee, which did in fact use drugs. She says it was the most painful experience of her life. She had 26 cancerous tumors, big enough to show up when you scanned her back. She is happily married, alive, and well. And a total badass. Story 5. Getting my eyes washed after pepper sprayed. We were given a chance to experience the proper stuff while in military. My mind went, hell yeah, that will be cool. Well, got sprayed. Had to walk 5 meters to a person holding a water bottle so he could rinse my eyes. Motherfucker had warm or hot water in the bottle, and he poured it to my face. It burned even more, and I got waterboarded at the same time. I've heard that you can experience pain that makes you fear you will die. My pain, I learned that you can feel it so that you fear that you might not die. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you. Story 6. Putting my wedding ring on our bedroom dresser, knowing that my marriage was over, while my wife was across town, fucking a police officer she had met at the shooting range. I walked out of our house and have not spoken to or seen her since. That was over 40 years ago. Story 7. The most painful experience of my life was passing a kidney stone, though whether or not it can be considered to have been experienced on purpose is debatable. I certainly contributed to its development through my choices, but that's another story. On the other hand, I had an ingrown toenail removed once. After removing the entire side of the nail, the doctor chemically burned the exposed nail bed with a chemical called phenol. Even though my toe was entirely numb, it was the most white hot searing pain ever. It hurt so bad it took my breath away. The best part is that the toenail came back, and I'm getting it done again in 2 weeks. Story 8. Putting my dog down. She passed in my arms. There's a song that I associate with her which I can't hear without tearing up, despite her leaving my life more than a decade ago. Story 9. Had my right wrist operated on. After the operation, the pain blocker wore off. Then it felt like someone in the act of sawing on my arm with a dull hacksaw blade. Story 10. I broke my hand and woke up mid-surgery. I won't describe the pain, but I felt that fucking drill go through every millimeter of my hand. Having the pins twisted in was no cakewalk either. Before anyone asks, why didn't they put you back asleep? Complications if they left my bone marrow exposed to the air too long. The doctor did give me local anesthetic to help with the pain. It lasted for 10 minutes out of the 30-minute procedure. No, I did not get anything from a lawsuit. Investigations concluded the dosage was correct and I just woke up. Rare occurrence apparently, but it happens. Story 11. I don't know how it's called in English, but I had the hair on my upper lip removed by having a needle inserted in every part of my skin that had a hair, and then the needle was sent an electric shock to kill the hair follicle. Incredibly painful, especially under the nose, where you have those little veins coming out of your nostrils, because the skin is so sensitive. Also, I have one big tattoo that's on my collarbone, hip bone, and ribs. They are not fun. Story 12. I was driven almost mad by a toothache one time and tried to pull it out myself. Bad idea. I can only imagine it's somewhat near what the feeling would be if you stabbed a heated poker through your own face. Story 13. Decided I had to tell the woman I fell in love with that I had feelings for her. I knew before I told her that she would reject me. She was not in a mentally healthy place and didn't want to be with anyone. But I wanted her to know the truth, so I took the rejection like a man, and we're still friends. Story 14. IUD fitting. Thought it was all fine because I didn't have too much pain during the procedure. 12 hours later, I could not move from the pain and had to get my mom to deliver painkillers to my flat at 7 a.m. next morning because I'd gone through everything we had already. Story 15. It's gotta be childbirth for me. I even got an epidural, but it failed. The best way I could describe the pain was it felt like my pelvis was being fractured in half, which it might have. I didn't learn about pelvic ring fracture during my childbirth until my 2-week postpartum visit with my midwife. So I pushed out a baby with a failed epidural and a fractured pelvis, which took me over 5 hours. Labor itself took over 42 hours. I love my son more than anything, but I'm never doing that again. Story 16. My girlfriend asked me to help her move a dismantled IKEA-like wardrobe from her mother's house. We were both unsure of its weight, but when we arrived, it turned out to be about 60 kilograms. The problem was that there was no grips nor edges that I could grab onto, and the packaging itself was quite slippery. After assessing the situation, I decided to carry it on my head by crouching down and tilting the giant plank-like parcel over my head. As soon as it tilted on top of my head, I felt an intense pressure on my vertebrae, which felt like an electric shock running through my body. It took me a few minutes to catch my breath and for my breathing to stabilize. It was like someone had squeezed my lung, and the pain was excruciating at first, but gradually subsided. Right now, the pain is about a 2 out of a 10. That pain was one of the most intense experiences I've ever had. The horror of it was even greater, as I honestly believed I might be partially paralyzed for a short moment. Although, what I am talking about is a couple seconds, the fear and uncertainty of not knowing if the pain would subside or if it would have long-lasting effects added to the intensity of the experience. Thank you for watching. Hope you're having a good day or a good night. I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye bye.